Good Wednesday afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Janice Shortle. So just this afternoon, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey delivers his 2026 budget address, and he wants to increase the property tax levy again to help pay for it. The mayor says to make the $2 billion budget work, property taxes have to go up again, nearly 8%. That's down from the original projection of 13%. The increase would also mean no layoffs throughout the city offices, according to the mayor. The budget also leans heavily on supporting Minneapolis police and recruitment, affordable housing, and downtown vitality. You can read all the details if you're interested from that budget address at KARE11.com. A sad update this afternoon. A child is expected to be okay after police say he shot himself overnight at a house in Brooklyn Park. It happened near Winchester and 66th Avenue North just before 1 in the morning. Investigators say the kid got into a bedroom where there was a gun. He got a hold of it and accidentally pulled the trigger. An adult man at the home was arrested. Well, today brings us some comfort finally and some sunshine as air quality has improved a ton. But doctors say some Minnesotans still may experience breathing problems for days after the smoke clears out. Here's Gordon Severson.
The skies were clear and blue in the Twin Cities Tuesday.
Yes, right. Visibly, it looks good.
But Dr. Dorothy Curran says we're not in the clear yet when it comes to breathing problems and the wildfire smoke.
We definitely do see some patients who have lingering symptoms.
Curran is a pulmonologist at Hennepin Healthcare, and this summer she has worked with a lot of kids and adults with asthma and other breathing-related issues.
It's been busy, yeah.
And sometimes those conditions flare up even days after the smoke has cleared out.
We talk about coarse particles that are big that get filtered by your nose and the mucus in your respiratory tract.
Curran says the smaller particles often get trapped in our lungs, and it could take a few days for the particles and the inflammation to go away.
I do expect this week we might still see some calls.
And it's not just our lungs. Doctors say the wildfire smoke can also have a negative impact on our hearts.
We've seen in the hospital some increasing symptoms and consequences like heart attacks.
Dr. Andrea Olson is a cardiologist at Health Partners. She and her colleagues have worked on several cases where patients have experienced heart attacks, strokes, and other problems that may have been related to the wildfire smoke.
We recently had a situation where a young man in about his 30s came in, experienced a heart attack, and at first he had chest pain symptoms that he just thought were related to the wildfires themselves. But when symptoms got bad, he came into the hospital and we found that in fact he had a complete blockage of one of his arteries.
Dr. Olson says that patient is now recovering and doing okay. But his case serves as an important reminder that even healthy adults can run into health problems if they spend too much time working or exercising outside in bad air.
Symptoms to watch for would include chest pain, trouble breathing, feeling your heart racing, pounding out of your chest.
Besides health issues related to our hearts and lungs, doctors say it's common to feel sluggish and have low energy days after the smoke clears.
I'm definitely feeling that, yes.
Dr. Curran says it's important to listen to your body and to take breaks if you're feeling fatigue, because we could see a few more air quality alerts before the summer is over.
But I know that there's still some fires still going on in Canada, so I know we're not totally out of the woods. Yeah.
Gordon Severson, KARE 11 News.
New this afternoon, the interim director of the Minnesota Office of Cannabis Management has now been named the new executive director of that office. Governor Walz named Eric Tauble this afternoon. He'd been the interim of that office since January. Tauble's going to lead the office, and they're supposed to be doing is developing operation and regulatory systems for the legal weed market in Minnesota. The office has seen a lot of change since it was created in 2023. The original director resigned after just one day on the job. Also, big news today in the sports world for the whole state. Joe Pohlad announced that the Twins are no longer for sale. In a press release, he says the decision came after months of exploring offers, and the Pohlad family has now decided they will remain the principal owners of the Twins, but said they're going to add 2 partners. The family has owned the Minnesota Twins for more than 40 years. Also an update today, the Hennepin County Board approved $1.6 million in settlement money to a former prosecutor, Amy Sweezy Tamburino. She accused the former Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman and the current Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty of retaliation. And this is the largest employment settlement ever approved by the county board. Here's Lou Burgos.
In the largest non-death related settlement it has ever approved, the Hennepin County Board agreed to pay former prosecutor Amy Sweezy Tamburino $1.6 million to settle a lawsuit that nearly went to trial. The settlement comes 3 years after the county agreed to pay Sweezy $190,000 in a discrimination complaint she filed against former Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman. Sweezy was known as one of the office's top prosecutors, convicting Minneapolis police officer Mohammed Noor of murder and manslaughter in the shooting of Justine Ruzcek. In the initial complaint, she accused Freeman of sexist remarks and for retaliating against her when she withdrew from the prosecution of former officer Derek Chauvin for the death of George Floyd. The initial settlement laid out new job duties for Sweezy, including leading a special unit. But then she filed a lawsuit accusing Freeman and then current County Attorney Mary Moriarty of failing to follow through with the agreement. According to the lawsuit, Moriarty continued retaliating against Sweezy, giving her different lower-level job duties until Sweezy finally resigned. In a statement, Sweezy writes in part, "Facing discrimination and retaliation in a workplace I respected was both painful and profoundly disappointing. This 5-year legal journey was challenging but necessary to hold a powerful institution accountable."
In a statement, a spokesperson for Mary Moriarty's office said it inherited a, quote, difficult situation and said Sweezy Tamburino was offered an opportunity to lead an important unit in Moriarty's office, but she declined and resigned. Mike Freeman also told KARE 11 he hopes everyone can move forward. Well, the stage is set today for the special election to fill Emerita Melissa Hortman's seat in the Minnesota House. XP Lee was declared the winner of the Democratic primary, and the current Brooklyn Park city councilor took about 59% of the vote. He will face Republican Ruth Bittner for the seat. She ran unopposed in her party. That election is September 16th. Well, right now, a Minneapolis Park police officer is recovering after his gun went off while trying to arrest a man accused of sexually assaulting children. This happened yesterday afternoon at Mueller Park in Lowry Hill. We're still finding out more information about the man accused of touching kids inappropriately at that park. Police say the man was found in a nearby alley after somebody called 911. A fight broke out with the suspect and the officer, and police say that officer's gun went off in his holster at that time before others came to his aid. Today in St. Cloud, the St. Cloud-based Centracare confirms they will lay off about 535 people. The healthcare provider said the cuts will span across 44 different places. Centracare confirmed that 70% of these layoffs include administrative and support positions. 30% are in patient care roles. The company said rising healthcare costs and reimbursement rates are the reasons behind their decision. Well, it's been more than 2 weeks since anybody has heard from a man from Lakeville who has been missing in the Wyoming wilderness. Grant Gardner last texted his wife on July 29th after summiting a mountain, saying the climb was harder than he expected. The local sheriff in Wyoming is saying more than 24 groups have still been searching that very expansive area where snow has already started falling. Here's Jennifer Hoff.
The weather in Wyoming was terrible when Mikhail Blinikov set up camp in the Cloud Peak Wilderness.
Every night we were there for 3 nights. It was steady thunderstorms, rain, and hail.
The St. Cloud State geology professor
And then we hiked 6 miles.
has climbed and studied mountains around the world.
Absolutely, yes.
And still, this 13,000-foot summit, a surprising challenge. The 12-hour round trip lined with boulders and crevasses.
There's thousands of rocks, and every rock has a crack, you know.
Making the search for a missing Minnesota man all the more tricky. Authorities say Grant Gardner summited the same mountain 2 weeks ago. Blinikov just happened to be there, even spotting his empty tent. The local sheriff saying Gardner texted his wife then, but hasn't been heard from again.
I'd say it's absolutely not a place for a solo hiker.
In a new post, authorities say they're exhausting every possibility, no matter how small, to find Gardner, naming 24 search and rescue groups. Blinikov adding someone can survive up to 14 days without water. Still worried Gardner is stuck or struck by lightning.
Yeah, it's a very sad situation. But that's the reality. I mean, any mountains are unforgiving, and, one can be missing a relatively small area, unfortunately, yeah.
A dramatic twist in a murder case in Minneapolis from 1998. A woman came forward and confessed to being the killer 27 years after she helped put a man in prison for the crime. Now Hennepin County Attorney's Office is moving to vacate that man's conviction.
The crime shocked and angered the city.
They're just terrible.
Ann Prasniak, a beloved 77-year-old woman known to neighbors as Miss Ann, found murdered in April 1998, her body hidden inside a closet in her own apartment. Her apartment on Park Avenue south of Minneapolis had been taken over by drug users. One of them, 27-year-old Brian Hooper, was charged with murder. Miss Ann died while he got high, the headline said. After a jury convicted Hooper,
shocked at this verdict.
His attorney still insisted the narrative was wrong.
The evidence at trial conclusively established that it was not my client that committed this awful crime, but it was the person that testified against him.
27 years later, attorney Jeff Dean was there as Hennepin County attorney Mary Moriarty said he was right.
On July 29th, we learned that the state's star trial witness had come forward on her own to not only recant her testimony against Mr. Hooper, but to confess that she was responsible for killing Ms. Prasniak and concealing her body.
According to court documents, Shalaka Lewis Young wrote this confession letter from a Georgia prison asking for forgiveness, then confessed 4 additional times, including to a Minneapolis police detective, giving new corroborating details, including how she used a picture frame seen in this crime scene photo to move Miss Ann's body.
I will say she also expects to be charged with murder. She knows exactly what she's getting into here, so she certainly has a lot to lose.
Hooper's family waited 27 years for this day.
27 years of missed birthdays, missed milestones, holidays. 27 years of lost opportunity and time that we can't get back. My father, Brian Hooper Sr., is an innocent man, and he's always been an innocent man.
An update from Washington, D.C. The White House orders an internal review of Smithsonian museums and exhibits. The administration says this is a part of President Trump's directive to celebrate American exceptionalism and remove divisive narrative. This review will look into all public content, including the use of collections, exhibition text, and social media across 21 museums run by the Smithsonian. Earlier this year, President Trump said the institution is influenced by divisive ideology. Happening today, President Trump met virtually with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and other European leaders. Their conversation comes just 2 days before Trump is set to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin on a possible ceasefire in Ukraine. Zelensky had previously said he wants security guarantees from the European allies. Otherwise, he said Russia could face attack again in the future. Stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.